This podcast is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Some material may not be suitable for children.
So we're watching Casablanca. Welcome, everyone. This is the Mission 250 Filmcast you're listening to, whether you stumbled upon it
or Casablanca.
Sean, I thought you... Wait.
Casablanca?
John's the one who's bitching about the intro being normal every episode. I'm
sorry.
he fucks it up every week. This is why I give up, because it's not worth it. You fucking interrupt me every goddamn time.
Yeah, right.
Casablanca. Hilarious. Totally worth fucking up the intro for, John.
It was totally worth it, but still, go on.
Is this Casablanca?
This is Casablanca. This is a 1942 movie directed by Michael Curtiz, Warner Brothers movie from back in the day. This is a super old movie, everyone.
It's 1940 what?
It's like pretty far back there in terms of what movies are on the list.
Is it our oldest one left?
That's a good question. It might be. Yep. Oldest one.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay. Knocking it off. And it was John's turn to go first this week, but we have October Halloween movies coming up next week, and John's kicking that off. So we're going to TC, who I think in the end of last episode was saying he wasn't looking forward to this and was ready to shit on it. So
I wasn't.
So what's the story now?
I can see why they teach you this in film school.
Yeah, buddy.
And I'm like 20 years later.
Finally
for the first time.
Old enough to appreciate it.
Yeah, I got through film school. Maybe this is why I never made it as a filmmaker, because I never watched the Casablanca. Yeah, I thought the production value was pretty good for 1944. I was pretty impressed.
And for such a low budget throwaway movie too.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. Was it at the time? I had no idea. This wasn't designed to be some blockbuster or anything.
No, this was thrown in the machine without any real expectations, because they were pumping movies out back in this period of time.
In 44.
Yeah.
Apparently. Wow.
Yeah. It was just like, everyone signed to a contract.
When the world was going to end at that point, probably. Sort of like, yeah.
Yeah, we can get into that in trivia, but yeah, total throwaway movie. No one thought it was special at all, even when they were releasing it.
Really?
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot I don't know about this movie, apparently. I skipped it.
Did you remember it from film school?
I don't think I think I skipped the...
You skipped the assignment.
I think
probably.
I skipped the assignment.
It's probably hard. They probably kick it all off with Citizen Kane, and then
I was
so
after that.
over
it after Citizen Kane.
Yeah. Right? It was just like,
Yeah, I think I got like a low C- in that class.
Hey,
I just didn't give
Good
a
job.
fuck. Yeah. Couldn't have cared less. But I will say that there was some good stuff to take away from this movie. One of the things I think I noticed the most was, though, I guess it might have been just because films were for Americans back then, but they didn't speak in different accents. Like all the different places, like besides the Italian one, really, the Germans spoke in an American accent. What I mean? Like everybody that was talking from a different place besides America spoke an American accent. So it was a little bit,
that's odd you say that
there.
Because so I agree with you with some actors, but the majority of the actors in this movie were actual refugees from different countries because of the war going on.
Interesting. That's why I figured they should have.
Yeah, like the fat waiter guy. When he was serving the two people at the table, he was a real refugee, and the two people at the table. Like a lot of the situations in the movie, like the singing with the crying when they're doing like the French national anthem and people are crying and stuff.
I thought that was good.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. Yeah. I thought that was real good.
Yeah. A scene like that could easily be way too cheesy or hitting you over the head with like, cry now, damn it. But just,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it came in at a time where they had already really set up the fact that they're at war.
Mm-hmm.
So it landed a little bit better than it would have if they had done it at the beginning. I was a little bit, up and down on the acting.
What?
There were some parts where like, what was his name? Lonzo or what was his name? Lorenzo?
Oh yeah,
he wasn't very good. Like he was pretty bland.
Yeah.
He was just like he just didn't like. There were some parts where he was great, and then all of a sudden it was like, wow. I mean, did you know you were in the movie at that point, or were you not supposed to be seen or something? I don't know.
But doesn't that kind of make it seem like it's easier to buy that this woman likes Humphrey Bogart because the person she's with may be a hero, but he's kind of
so
boring.
Bland.
Yeah.
You can. It did. I mean, I guess that works. For the storyline.
I hear you.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was good. I really did. I thought it was very obvious too that they were, shooting medium shots for everything until it was an important scene, and then they'd go to the close-ups, and it was like it's such a basic film process, right? Like I can see that's what I had that moment of like, oh, this is why they show it. So I should have watched it. I think is what I was thinking. And
there's a lot of like dolly zoom ins on like it would start from like a medium shot and then zoom moves. Right into the faces.
And there was and for 1944, I was relatively impressed.
Yeah.
You can see how it sort of really guided filmmaking, in subsequent movies. Yeah, I mean, the whole idea that they're stuck, it landed. I thought it was good. People that were of high society that, had means, the idea that they couldn't get out of the country was an interesting plot. I thought, for just the time frame and something I probably should have watched a long time ago. So yeah, I really can't say that enough. I have a feeling that I missed the boat again on a movie.
It's like Star Wars all over again. They don't make T-shirts with this one on it though.
I know, and some of
this one doesn't have the geek factor or whatever that Star Wars has. It's sort of a different kind of
right. No, it has a classic factor that I should have paid attention to.
This one doesn't have the snob factor of liking it, like say Citizen Kane or whatever. I don't think does it.
It's because this one is enjoyable. You don't need to be like force yourself through torture to fake yourself into saying that it's good.
Yeah. No, and it's a good romantic movie, a little in the way, but also realistic in the sense that like. Just because you had an unbelievable moment doesn't really mean that it's better to be with that person versus the one that's been with you the entire time through all thick and thin. Like, those are variables that, lust and just sort of fleeting moments can't really compare against. I think they did a good job of sort of showing that. And, they sort of build up Bogart as this like, just, hard ass, but neutral guy. And then like when it comes to her, it throws him into a fucking tizzy. So, they did a good job. I thought the writing was good. The acting was good. She was hit or miss sometimes. But I felt like once she had her little moment there where she told him the truth and that was heavy hitting. I thought, I don't know. But yeah, I actually did enjoy it, and I don't really have too much else other than that. But
there's almost no negative things to say there.
Yeah, there really isn't. The negative things were minor, and I got to the end of the movie and it finished, and I was like, I liked that one. Yeah, that was good. And I was with my girlfriend, and she was like, wow, that was really good for being that old. I was like, I know it was, wasn't it? So. I gotta say, I'm a Casablanca fan, even with the stupid little, here's looking at you, kid.
Oh yeah, he said it a couple too many times.
Yeah, he said it's like too many times. But like get another line, bud.
It's working for him,
Yeah,
that's bad. Yeah, got him to where his.
I felt like the Sam's fingers are gonna fall off. Poor bastard. They had him playing piano fucking from the I mean, he liked it, but...
And he had to shove the piano around, too? That's like
I know.
difficult.
I mean, that was kind of funny when like he picked the thing up, put it on the...
He's like, I'm getting the fuck
pushed
out
it
of
away.
here.
I'm getting away from this conversation. Yeah.
Nope.
I thought that was funny. It made that joke land even better because he had to push the thing away. So, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all I have.
That is complete. So, like... Ebert does a commentary for this, and one of the things he ends with at the end of the commentary is, or if someone asked me what the best movie ever made was, I'd say Citizen Kane. But if someone asked me what the best movie that everyone would like is, I would say Casablanca.
So interesting.
I mean, I think that hits pretty hard. I mean, this movie's higher than Citizen Kane. You don't have to learn about why it's good to enjoy it, right? I went into this movie knowing like just a few lines, and basically I watched this when I was like probably 15 years old because my dad loved it. I was too young to appreciate it. I didn't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just a lot more to this movie than I remembered, and I enjoyed all of it. I was engaged the entire time through the story and the acting. I kind of liked it how it unfolded, the story. It's like in the beginning, the first maybe 20, 30 minutes, I was like, what is this movie about? It's just like people in this bar, in this town, in the city, like doing random stuff. But it kind of slowly unfolds like what it's about. It's like, oh, okay, it's about this relationship and it's about their pasts together. And it's about like how he's dealing with their past. Like all this stuff in the beginning applies because it's how he's living now, which is a direct cause of like the breakup that he had that like completely devastated him. You know, and
which wasn't even really, as we find out, a breakup. It was two people randomly meeting and basically having a fling, and one of them, you know, feeling much more into it than the other.
Well, I think they both were into it, right? But she found out her husband was alive, right? That's kind of like
you find out your husband's alive, like see ya, right? Like sorry, and there's no messages back then. Like now it would be like, hey, husband's alive, gotta go, see ya.
Yeah, I'll text you when I get there. Bye.
Right. Now it's like send a parcel.
Where are you in Casablanca? He's probably laying low. He probably changed his name. Maybe I don't know. His name was Rick beforehand.
Still, you're not getting a normal, you know, carrier pigeon.
I'm surprised that this. I'm kind of hijacking the second slot here, John. Sorry. I'm surprised this movie doesn't get credit.
You lost my first one. I lost the second one.
We're just pushing you to the back. You keep interrupting, John. You're going to get to the back of the line every time.
You lost your privileges. People talk about Marlon Brando and A Streetcar Named Desire as being like the first naturalistic type of acting. And that was 1951. I thought Brando was like amazing in this and just like playing it totally natural.
Bogart, you mean?
What did I say?
Yeah,
Brando. Bogart in this one was, you know, as good, if not better than Brando in the same kind of way, in like the natural kind of way, in terms of like his reaction was not stage play-y. I got no other better phrase than that.
If anything, understated.
It's understated, but it's intense. And like his character is smart and quick, but it's not done like when he tells the joke, it's not like, hey, zing, that was the joke. He just says it and it all works. It's not like too dry or anything. It just really like makes his character really interesting. And you want to kind of
you want to know
asshole,
more.
You want to know more, but like you want him to like you. If
why
you knew
is
him,
he
sort
so
of thing.
neutral?
Yeah, you can
why
totally
is he so neutral? And how do you get there?
Yeah, you can see why everyone looks up to him, kind of, even though he's a total ass. Like one of the first things you see is that he lets his acquaintance die. Basically, like he like lets him get caught. So then, even though that happens, you're still. I don't know how you guys felt. I was still like, I don't care about that guy. I'm sticking with Rick. Rick seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, Rick's the guy.
That guy also seemed to be, he was, it's not like this. The other guy his friend was really clean too. He was real slimy.
Yeah.
Like, and so they set that up well where he's talking with Rick in the office and that it's not like Rick hates him or anything, but the guy's also pretty slimy.
Yeah. But Rick is slimy too. He keeps those tickets, hides them afterwards.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I just like how when you get shot in that time frame, everyone just goes down. Nobody freaks out.
It's like, eat your dinner. It's all good. Eat your dinner. Everything's fine.
Hey, no worries.
Did anybody end up getting shot in the?
Yeah. They shot the guards. The guy shot the guards through the fucking door.
But did anyone get hit?
Yeah. I think you see one of them go down, and then they like pull him away, and that, as far as I recollect, and that was it. And then they move right on like it never happened.
Start playing, Sam.
Now I guess one could say that it was during the war, so in some sense maybe people are used to the gunshots. Maybe. Yeah.
It is something you don't see. You see in the older films for sure. Is the I've been shot, so I'm going to freeze.
Just fall. Don't react. Just fall. You're good.
Yeah, I liked it how the French police officer guy, whatever, the chief of police, whatever he was, the authority guy,
Reno.
Yeah, he came across as like a sneaky bad guy, kind of. I didn't like him, but then he slowly grew on me as I figured out his motive. Like he was actually communicating secretly with Bogart in the same kind of way, where they're both just trying to survive with this Nazi occupation that is like slowly creeping into their area.
Yeah, having sex with women so that they could get their papers.
It's not great.
Yes,
it's not ideal in modern times.
But I still did like it by the end, how he like completely flipped. As soon as the Nazi guy was dead, he's like, oh, Rick, I'm on your team. Let's freaking do this, dude. We're buddies.
Yeah, it was, again, that was really well done, how that, just how the whole thing played out.
Yeah, and I didn't know, I figured I would have known it would have come back to me when I was watching it, but I didn't know what was happening at the end. And all the way that kind of goes together, like, who knows what? Is this a part of the plan? Who's on whose side? Like, what's going to happen here, sort of thing, was really cool. And it kept turning. Like it kept changing as it was going on.
Very, very quickly. Like this is a short film.
Yeah.
I thought that too. The editing was fast.
Yeah, and it was modern.
Really did
it
feel
didn't seem
like
old, right? It seemed
it went at a good clip. Like it was a high paced, edit story, rollout. It wasn't, long and boring.
When I think of old movies, I think of like the crossfades where the actors kind of just are directed to when the lines are done, just stand there and stare at each other.
Yeah.
And then it'll fade.
Yeah.
It's like we need time to fade,
Right,
this one didn't have any of that, where it didn't feel
like
old.
where it was trying to go, show passing time by fading into the next scene.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the music was a little old, but it wasn't. I thought it was pretty good. Like it wasn't terrible.
It didn't stand out or like make me, not watch what was going on.
Yeah. And some of the quotes were really, I mean, the "here's looking at you" is too much, but I thought that that quote where it's like, you might not regret it today or tomorrow, but you will soon and for the rest of your life. Like that's really good. It's a really good line, really well delivered.
Yeah.
I was surprised by how much I like this movie too. I was kind of on the fence. Like old movies have always been iffy, like old is old.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It can go either way.
Yeah.
It can be really good or it's going to be awful.
Yeah. But I'll probably watch this one again. I thought it was, like the mixing of genres too, just one last thing, like it was funny and it was suspenseful
and there were good comedy moments too.
Yeah. And there was like moving moments, like with the romance, but also with like the French Revolution stuff. Like it had a bunch of different tones in it and it seemed like it always succeeded, like really smoothly from scene to scene, doing what it was trying to do very effectively, which, a lot of movies try to do that and most can't do it because it's probably super hard to do. So yeah. And on top of it all, it was really enjoyable. And now I'll let John go.
Ugh. If we have to.
Glad I don't have a fourth member of our cast.
Oh, we have Elmo here today, everyone.
That's right.
It's Elmo, everyone.
That's right. It's fucking Elmo. Hey, how you doing?
What did you think, Elmo? I loved it.
Yeah,
that's great, Elmo.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, folks. We had 3 reviews,
All
and now
right,
we're going to wrap it on up.
Time to go to bed. Time for trivia.
Okay. What do you think, John?
Yeah, me too. It's completely surprised.
Yeah.
I didn't know I like it nearly as much as I did. Nikki and I both really liked it. She was just going to sit and watch for a bit while I gave her a shoulder rub or something, but then she just stayed and we watched the whole thing. We're like, well, that was actually good.
His hand was killing him at the end of the movie.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You guys have never seen this?
No, well, not for a long. I've seen it a long time ago, but I didn't pay attention much.
Yeah.
So, and I think Nikki's sort of similar thing a long time ago. Yeah, really. I liked how you said too, Denny. You made the point of how it slowly like opens. I mean, it moves still quick. Then I really was impressed with the spinning globe at the start. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. For an old,
it looked really cool.
Trick.
Actually,
For an old trick.
Yeah. I mean, it was a model clearly, but it still looked.
But it was
pretty
big.
Cool the way they did
You could tell it was big.
Yeah.
And it was
like
3-dimensional and
the
stuff.
Cotton ball clouds that were there or whatever. It sitting in the clouds for whatever reason, but it was cool.
The first 2 minutes with the little Universal Studios symbol, if that's good, you got John, because he judges his movie opinions in the first 2 minutes of movies.
That's right. That's true. Very, very quick to just turn off and go to sleep right then, because that's all I'm looking for. I'm like, all right, I can just tune out now. That's good. But yeah, so it did have me from the first. But I like what you said, how you don't quite know what it's about, but it's still the location and the background and the history is interesting enough and done at a really fast clip again, so that you go along with it. It's really good. It's a really excellent storytelling. It's telling you history, which could be boring or annoying or weird or too long. And it doesn't do that. It just jumps you right into this setting. It gives you enough to know where you're at and you're seeing all these people, like you're saying, TC, that interesting idea, the rich people that are normally well off, struggling, trapped. That dynamic is interesting. They show that quickly and they show it well, and they just bounced around to people, and you're seeing this happen. So that,
and it's just to set up
really
the
cool.
setting, right? These people aren't even main characters. There's people eating outside, and the guy pickpockets them, and he's just in the background, and it's just gives you flavor.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not dwelling on it or we're really showing you how bad it is here or how evil.
No, but they show you bad
they're
enough because someone gets pickpocketed, which is shit, means the area is shitty, and then
but it's kind of funny the way they do it.
Yeah.
So
what a charming little fellow.
Yeah.
What a charming fellow.
Wallet?
Yeah, where's my wallet? I must have left
I liked it when he bumped into
hotel.
the fat waiter, and he knows the guy, so he checks his pockets, and he's like, "Oh shit, okay, good."
Ah, shit. Then he's like, "Oh, thank God, yeah, I still got it." Yeah,
Again, I just was really, I think, and the more this is a film that is just seems like, again, it's really interesting to hear the backstory, because again, it seems like you could go and say, yeah, this is a meticulously put together film. Every shot was thought out. Everything was edited, storyboarded, and now they shot it out of a cannon, and nobody thought it would get anywhere, which is really interesting.
I mean, if you have like a 1,000 monkeys typing at a typewriter over 100 years, like one of them is going to make a masterpiece or something like that. I think that's kind of all these people are super talented.
They just got lucky,
right? But that's everyone in Hollywood was like pretty talented back then. But it was just such a fast-paced machine.
Right,
everyone was like, they were cranking them out. Right, everyone was like in a contract. You didn't get to pick and choose your projects. Really, the studio organized all that shit by themselves, and everyone worked 24/7. There was no breaks between movies. They just had it all lined up to be like one after the other, and just pumping them out. So like, this one just happens, and it also like the timing of this one too. Starting in 1940, the person at Warner Brothers, who was like a script reader, because they have people who just like sit there and read scripts and then pitch it to the producers and stuff. One of the guys read this one the day after Pearl Harbor happened. So that, that was like obviously very fresh on his mind. And he thought, this is before we got into the war, but it was like right before we got into the war, right? The day after Pearl Harbor. So the timing of it too made it really stick out for the audience, but not even really for the people in the studios, because they also switched over to war movies at the time. It wasn't just this one.
And this one this is not overly focused on the war. That's not the point of this film at all. I mean, it's in the background and there's moving aspects to it, but the film is not about war. This is not a war film.
It kind of is, because everything that happens is because the war pushed them out of where they were.
War is the MacGuffin almost. It's like the thing that drives it forward, but we don't really need to focus on it.
This isn't a movie about war. It says nothing about the war necessarily.
Well, about the fighting, but it's about like the side effects of war,
I guess so.
Right. And standing up against it, because that was what,
I hear what you're saying, though. It's not like a trench movie, but it is.
We're not learning about the war specifically.
No, and ultimately, if the movie's about their relationship, and the war is something that, as like TC says, it's the MacGuffin, the thing that makes things happen. So it's not really necessarily commenting on it, even though all the interactions and emotions are moving. That also is really kind of cool. It doesn't feel like the movie's shoving anything in our face like that.
It's very much on the side. I mean, these people are all trying to escape, right? They're on like the fringe of the world, trying to live. For the most part, which makes sense. And even like Bogart's character is really interesting. And again, it's kind of this mix of genres, because he's the classic hard-boiled detective, but that's not at all what he's doing here. He is that kind of hard-boiled person, but he's not interested in helping anybody, necessarily, until you see flashes of it later. So it's not like, it's a different kind of mix, so he has that hard-boiled style, but you're not seeing him as the hero for a long time. You're not seeing him as trying to solve any problems even or anything. He's basically just trying to stay out of the way for most of the film. And that's also really interesting, the way that happens. And it seemed to me like he thought he was broken, so he wasn't even looking for relationships, right? He had like flings and he treated women like shit. Because this relationship fucked him up so much that he just thought he was trash, or that he didn't trust women or something.
Right. And some people might say it's a love story, but maybe this guy's pretty broken, and it wasn't a real relationship in a sense. It just was the most meaningful thing he'd ever had, and that then he never had anything like that since. Yeah. And whether that was true love or whatever, I don't even know if that may be the case. But it was just something that really, really impacted him. And
I think it impacted her too, to be honest.
Yeah, her too.
Maybe that's why the movie's so relatable, though. I mean, this is kind of like a very human thing, right?
Like an infatuation kind of a thing, kind of a not. It's
and
not
then
like
let down when someone's thinking that it's more than it is.
Right.
Yeah.
If you give it 2 more months, it would have tetered out on its own, and everyone would be like, go their separate ways. But
exactly, no, and that's in some ways that's kind of the message that comes across from Rick too. When he's telling her, he's not just. He's having some, maybe, it's one way of looking at that. He's having some realizations that they had these moments, these feelings. That wasn't necessarily a lifelong love that they have.
I think he was just lying to her because he thinks it is, but I think he was just lying to her to make it easier for her to get on the plane.
He's making the sacrifice, which is also fine too. But
I like how you can take it both ways though, because both of them work for the story.
Right, and I like that. I like that too. I like that. Again, the film is not like, oh, this is the most awesome love affair, romantic, deep love that these people have for each other. He's very flawed and he's messed up. and he may have been pretty messed up before he met her, and she made him super happy. And then she just disappeared, and that then really messed him up.
Yeah.
So that's all, again, just done really well and done subtly with the way Bogart is. He's not like having, any Oscar moments there, even when he's giving his speeches.
I thought when she came back and he was drinking upstairs.
Oh yeah,
he was crying. I was like, this is really good. Like, this is not sappy at all.
Good. Right.
Bogart is committing, and he's doing it. This is great.
Still not theatrical, right? Just really, he's like deeply upset and pissed.
And just like not ready to handle it.
Yeah.
And doesn't want to deal with it.
Right. Yeah. And it's played well too. I like how then that pisses her off. So she comes back the next day pissed at him. I like that. That makes sense.
When he's trying to apologize when she's in the market, that scene.
Right. She's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You just were like, you were a total asshole last night.
Yeah. He's like, well, it's cool,
again,
right?
He's like, I'm moderately more sober.
Right.
Yeah, that was a great line.
That was a great
line. You can't hold it against me. I was hammered last night, right?
And
that's also relatable.
Right, I know. But again, to say it that way and to saying that, no, I'm sorry, no, he's not saying that.
He's not saying I'm totally sober. He's moderately more sober.
He's just saying more than I was.
I'm a lot less drunk now than I was then. So. I like, again, just really, really well done. I mean, again, Laszlo was a strange standout sometime. And so there's a plot point there, sort of like, I don't know. You're the Germans. There's this escaped prisoner of war who's like published all kinds of bad shit about you as Nazis. He's dead. You just kill him. You just kidnap him and kill him. You can make it happen and no one will know. I mean, there's no need to be polite here or try to let him make his escape. You just kill him. I mean,
maybe they didn't have. I mean, it was just like the one small group of Nazis, right? It didn't seem like they had a huge stranglehold.
They had like 7 or 8 Nazis.
Yeah, it didn't seem like they were like ready to.
But as soon as they killed the main Nazi, the French guy was like, "Fuck the Nazis, let's go." So it's just like one guy, so there couldn't have been. But
there was no like. I know, but you just think that here's a escaped political prisoner, very highly wanted in your country. They just take care of him. They could just go into his hotel room and take him away. It's not like they had guards or anything.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's fine. I don't. Yeah,
but were you thinking about that when you were watching it? Because I was just like, you did? Okay.
A little, because they were trying to do it's just, I was thinking about it, and then I aggressively dismissed it because I was enjoying the film and wanted to continue enjoying the film.
I just was like, there's got to be a good reason. They might explain it later. I don't know. I'll just believe that there's a good reason.
There might be politics or whatever, but things were so messy. It's very clear that they could have just, somebody else gets shot in the middle of the hotel and then they just all move on with their lives. I'm sure if he just disappeared, everybody would also just move on with their lives.
True. There would only be a few people that were bumming out,
Yeah. So it's not like, but again, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go there. I think the idea of all these gray characters, these kind of Han Solo type characters that also are like really fun to watch, the rogues, this seems to be such a great example of it. Like even better, he's like truly flawed. He's truly kind of messed up, and he's not just, I'm just I'm just a grouchy guy with a heart of gold kind of thing. It's not just that. It seems a lot deeper than that. And I think that also makes this really interesting. His character is really like interesting to watch.
I started off not liking him in the beginning. Yeah, I was like interested by him, but like
so cold and,
right.
And yeah.
But I think that's part of the reason why he seems so deeply flawed more than other ones, because like even, Han Solo, you like from the instant you see him, Daniel Day-Lewis, you kind of like him from the first time he talks and There Will Be Blood sort of thing. Like they're assholes, but you always kind of like him. This guy is just like, I don't care who lives or dies. I'm not helping anyone. I'm in it for myself. Like screw you. I'm in it for money. But then the fact that it can change from that point is
right.
Is
and you
fun.
still see though he does have his relationships and people that care about him, and that immediately makes you more interested in him. It makes you think there's more there. The way like him and Sam interact. Or that you see that he has people that like him,
they're just. I thought they were just jealous in the beginning, but then some people really do because they know he has like a little softy inside of him underneath all that hard skin. But
or they're not sure. Like they're still like. Actually, another great character was the bartender. He was fun.
Yeah,
like, he didn't have a lot of scenes.
No,
but
when he was talking to that drunk girl, I was like, "I love you."
Yeah, it was funny.
Like, is this how this guy hits on people? Does it work?
Yeah.
I bet it works.
I just thought he had a couple of scenes that were great. He didn't have a lot to do, but when he was there, he was pretty damn funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's some really good crack up moments. I love the like.
Hand over the mouth, John. We're on a podcast.
Oh, sorry, shit. Sorry. There's some really great moments. Yeah, I'm not even thinking. There's some really great moments too. Like even a lot of good comedy moments. Like again, you guys were mentioning some of them. Or when he's going to shut down the cafe, he's like, "Oh, there's gambling here. Here's your winnings, sir."
Yeah, I know. He's like, "Okay, 1 second." Yeah.
It's just again that could have been seen as
it could have been too much
or
too much,
right.
But it was funny. Yeah,
it was funny the way it was
it was
off.
a good comic
it's really
relief.
quick.
It was,
Yeah.
So what a great movie. I'm really glad we watched this one.
Me too.
Yep, me too.
Nice.
And to my old film teachers, I apologize.
I don't know. Just say, look, why didn't you start with this one?
Yeah,
don't start with this one.
Yeah,
the
they
trust.
must have been like, this fucking kid is the worst.
Oh.
You know,
Start with the
pay
fun one.
attention.
Don't start
He's
with
in the
Citizen
back
Kane.
talking. He doesn't
Right.
even show up. You know.
Citizen Kane's a Final Report torture movie, so it's like, all right, you get an A+ if you can
Yeah.
sit through this movie. All right, you don't even have to write a paper. You can keep your eyes open.
Right. Like if you can make it through it, then we know you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, commentary time. What do you think?
Yeah,
Sure.
what do you got?
There's 2 commentaries and some special features. There is and then if you get the Blu-ray, I didn't watch any of this. There is a 300-minute long documentary on this period of time at Warner Brothers, which was a pretty interesting period of time because I watched I watched the trailer. I watched the 3-minute version of this 300-minute documentary. But it's just way too much.
Pretty soon your trivia is going to be like my book corner, Danny. You're doing awesome.
I mean, this movie has the most special features I've ever seen. Blade Runner had a bunch. Apocalypse Now had a bunch. Had its own documentary, but 300 minutes for one special feature. And I watched 2 commentary tracks and an hour-long special feature, and I didn't even get to watch this. Plus, there was a separate documentary based on Warner. There's like Jack Warner, I think what his name was. He was an actual producer alive at the time, one of the Warner brothers, I assume, back when this movie came out. There was like 5 different documentaries. But anyway, commentary with Ebert. Everyone knows and loves Mr. Ebert, right? Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
He was an odd commentator. I couldn't tell if he loved this movie, but he kind of talked negatively on it a bunch as he went through. Specifically, what TC mentioned was the blonde French revolutionary guy's acting. Every time he was on screen, Ebert was ripping him open.
No way.
It was
really?
weird. It's like, he's like, well, look at this guy. Look at his eyes. He's just reading lines off screen right here.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like he's not even
like,
trying.
What's he doing?
It's almost the
What's he
exact same
doing?
criticism.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It was sometimes I was just like, is he remember that he's on set?
Yeah, it's like we're rolling, dude. You hear that guy?
Yeah, right.
It's not a practice.
Right. Yeah, he said action.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
We understand you can say the lines. You have to act too. You can't just say the lines.
Right. This isn't just regurgitate.
Look, I don't know what. Maybe Paul had like another film to go to right after that.
Maybe.
Maybe he's doing like 5.
He's multitasking,
that day.
and his brain was in 2 places, and he just couldn't handle
He's
it.
like, look, I gotta go. I'm just getting a paycheck here, and this is a piece of shit movie. No one's gonna watch.
Yeah, right. Look, I'm in the machine. They said I could get a better,
Right.
fucking
May have been like the most horrifying thing ever because now it's like something everybody sees over and over and again, and everybody points out how shitty he was. He's like, oh, God,
he's like, man, I really wish I put in some more effort there.
Right. I didn't know, man. Everybody was saying it was shit. I was just trying to be nice.
It's like a perfect example of always try your best, right?
Yeah,
You never know.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, everyone that worked on it had worked. These people made like 2, 3, 4 movies a year, every year.
Wow.
This guy, Curtiz, made 75 movies in 10 years.
Holy shit.
That's ridiculous.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So these guys are just super, super efficient. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah. They had it down. They had down their formula and that was it.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. Just one of them just lucked out. I mean, there's a couple of movies that squirted themselves like through history that are still relevant, and the rest of them, like, all the other movies are just in a bin somewhere. They probably haven't even like remastered them to Blu-ray. Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's when movies go to die if you don't remaster them for Blu-ray. That's the standard.
Okay.
That's right.
That's a good point.
Warner Brothers was the first studio to be very outwardly negative against the Nazi Party out of all the movie studios. So
Interesting.
Yeah, so they started the war movies, the anti-Nazi movies before everyone else. It's hard to imagine, because we're on the other side of history here. there was a period of time where people weren't necessarily, and well, there's a lot of pro-Nazis these days too.
But
the majority,
I was gonna say, it hasn't died
companies,
fully.
There's some they're swinging back to like,
I think
I
still
don't know
most,
why.
if not all, major companies are still outwardly anti-Nazi, right?
That's fair.
But that wasn't the case back in
Yeah.
1940.
No, and in fact, there were a lot of like, I mean, you had like, again, the idea was an isolationist thing. We shouldn't get involved in that stuff. You shouldn't like put your foot in there because that's not our business, you know. So, and then there were a lot of pro sentiments towards them. Yeah, so you had like fair number of politicians and businessmen that were very pro. So yeah, it's strange.
It is. And I'm going to correct myself. He did 45 films in the 30s.
Wow.
So not 75,
Wow.
45. Still a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.5 movies a year. Like a movie every 2 months and change.
Jesus. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's when they only use sets, really, you know? So you
It
can
was
pump them out
All
because you're
sets.
on the lot.
It was sets and
Yeah.
backlots. All that outside
Right.
stuff was just a Warner backlot. And they actually haven't changed some of it still. They just,
I know.
it's the exact same as it was
They just
back in the
redress
40s.
it.
They just redress it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Nobody notices.
Yeah. Every once in a while, like I grew up with Ghostbusters and the house they have, I forget what studio did that movie, but they have like the Ghostbuster like firehouse. That's still in the movie. Oh, it was in Back to the Future. Like that firehouse is in a bunch of like, I think it's Universal Studios. And every once in a while I'll be like, oh, this is
I remember that.
the Ghostbusters house right there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the goddamn courthouse that's out here that everybody uses for the courtrooms. Yeah. I see it all the time and I'm like, there it is again.
Any period piece in LA has like a movie theater that's the same theater every single time.
Yeah.
So Bogart wasn't an A-lister before this movie. This was his breakout role. John kind of touched on this. Yeah, he was just like a kind of a character actor, you know, mafia bad guy. He would always have like a scene where he'd pull a gun out and shoot somebody. And he'd always, you know, he was mostly in like noir and mafia movies to be the guy who was just like, see? I'm Bogart.
Yeah. Let me smoke this cigarette in front of your face.
And I'm saying that, but he was in the Maltese Falcon the year before.
Right, which he was great in that too.
Right, but that he wasn't necessarily an A-lister after that. That movie's more popular now than it was back when that came out.
Maybe retroactively, kind of. Because of Casablanca,
probably. He was good in that, but I mean, that was like a silly movie, right?
Well, no, it was more. It was more straight. Like this is noir. We knew what it was. You know, it wasn't as interesting in that sense. But I remember really liking that.
I liked it too. I mean, it was a fast moving like thriller comedy. I don't remember if it was supposed to be funny, but I remember thinking it was funny. Maybe because it was old. I forget. But yeah, this one launched him into stardom, and you know he was one of the biggest movie stars ever after this movie.
Yeah, and he was already like he was in his 40s then, I think.
Yeah, and this movie has who's that older guy? The guy who wears the fez, the fat white guy that owns the other bar.
The guy that owned the parrot.
Yeah, he was in Sidney Greenstreet was his name. We watched another movie with him in it. The Maltese Falcon. He was in that.
Oh, he was in that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been in a bunch of stuff, and he started acting when he was 62. Speaking of like people that he had like a really long and like good career in other stuff, but which was his first movie. The Maltese Falcon was. He was 62.
Wow. How about that? Starting late.
I know. It's never over, guys. There's always hope.
Yeah, that's right.
You just have to be, I guess back then, I have to imagine that like people that fat were like rare, right? So he's probably like a spectacle.
Oh, that's true.
It's like, look at that guy. But now it's like 60% of Americans. Yeah. This movie was close to being censored because of all the, the implied underage forced sex is, still kind of bad. Apparently it was bad back then too. But they were afraid of a lot of things because like the biggest issue actually, because it was more of a prominent plot point, was this unmarried sex thing that was like implied with the relationship throughout.
Right.
The reason, I mean, I thought it was pretty damn implied that they were fucking because like why, it was pretty implied. I assumed that. But apparently they were able to convince, you used to be able to argue with the green, what was it called? The green board, something like that. The people that said whether or not it could be released. You could sit there and argue with them. And they would do that scene by scene.
They didn't have sex. They just really, really liked each other.
Yeah. And they'd be like, so why is she wearing a silk slip? And he's like, well, because it's her night outfit. I don't know. You're not having sex. Let's release the movie.
Okay. Okay.
So they convinced him to like release it. Just, I guess, scene by scene, walking through it and just convincing them why they think what they're thinking is incorrect and they should release the movie. It sounds a pretty fun job.
Yeah. I wonder if they just would slip him $100 or something. Just
probably. I mean, that's the
bribery, way. Kind
of the movie rating. You ever see the movie? This movie is not yet rated.
No.
It's about like the movie censorship industry, and that how all of the people on the board back in the early 2000s, and it's probably still the case, were the wives of producers for big Hollywood studios. So that's why you have like frontal nudity in Titanic and like all these big movies get like, PG-13s because the producers are like, we really need this one to be PG-13. They'll tell their freaking friends and then they'll do whatever they say. But then you have like 2 mentions of the word fuck for an indie movie, R rating, doesn't make any money.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of corrupt. Always was.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Yeah. Just a bit.
Is.
Yeah.
Bogart is only 5 feet 7 inches tall.
Oh, baby.
They had to put him on boxes and pillows, and they had to do forced perspective shots, and they had to get Bergman to duck to make her always look shorter than him, because that's, this is what Cruise does. This is what.
That's crazy.
It's, because he doesn't look short. 5'7".
Mm-mm.
That's pretty short that's like below average.
That's small.
Yeah.
That
I'm
is
surprised.
small.
Do you know any info on how he was chosen to be the leading man in this film? Like if there was.
He was always, I think the people who worked in movies saw him as like a really up and coming actor.
Oh, okay.
He was always in talks.
So even though he wasn't like any huge, he didn't have his break. This was his breakout role, but maybe they saw him in Maltese Falcon and were like, oh yeah, this guy's good. We get this guy.
He's got a face on him. Like, I don't even know if he's like good looking or not, but holy shit, his face is unique. And it's huge. Right. His head looks huge.
Yeah.
It's really, really just fun to like look at all the wrinkles in his friggin' forehead.
Who knew they having a big head would mean you get, on the screen.
And his eyes are just like, they look like they're about to fall out of his head because his eyes are always like watery and big, and he's always like, his voice is really interesting, and his mouth is like the size of the lead singer of Aerosmith, and
his delivery is quick.
Yeah. He's just a really unique looking dude. Even
perfect
still,
for the screen.
Yeah. Unlike whoever the woman is that plays Ingrid Bergman, she, if you've noticed, I didn't until the commentators pointed it out. They only filmed her left side throughout like 99% of the movies because she thought her left side was her better side. So it always had her, and she does not film. And this is what the cinematographer wrote. At a direct angle, she does not film well. So you'll never see her head on.
That's a diss.
No, it's apparently it's true. I think
that's gotta be
this
hard.
is what screen tests do, right?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, you don't look good straight on.
Screen test. You come in, they film you at different angles. Yeah,
we're gonna skip that.
Wow.
So they filmed her at profiles sometimes, and then 3/4 of an angle on the left side, almost the entire movie. They integrate it pretty well for that kind of constraint because I didn't notice it. But like when they pointed it out, I was like, God damn, every single time I see her, it's like her left cheekbone is sticking straight at the camera right now.
Oh, wow.
And they lit her specifically well to make her look really pretty because apparently she kind of had a round face. But the way they lit it, it looks like she had really high cheekbones. So like, so the people were talking about how the cinematographer and lighting person were doing a really good job because she was a great actor, but she never looked as good as she did in this movie by their opinions. Who knows if they're right, but.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
They had a whole lighting rig following her.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Wow. Jesus.
Plus, they talked a lot about how the backgrounds were done intentionally, which this movie is so natural feeling that I wasn't really paying attention to any of that stuff. But when they started pointing it out, there are like lines and frond. Yeah, fronds, right? Is that a thing?
Like leafy plants?
Yeah.
Or okay, go on.
Yeah, shadows.
This is the first time we've ever used that word ever.
Yeah, I'm questioning whether or not it is a word. Frond.
A frond is a kind of.
I think it sounds
kind of plant.
like a word.
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Frond.
Frond.
Maybe there's a U in there
we
somewhere.
go. There's no. Okay. So it's like a fern. It's like a fern. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Fern.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah,
so there's
a
lot of those plants, and they're in the shadows in the background. And as they start pointing it out, it thematically, I don't know if it was, again, it could have just been a mistake. Right? It could have just been like they're throwing stuff, they're going fast, and it just happens to work. But they're pointing out how like the background in this scene is textured like a lattice, is like they're feeling trapped. This is like a prison. But then there are some backgrounds where they're feeling more free, and visually and thematically, it lines up perfectly throughout the movie. So like even that is something you don't necessarily pay attention to,
No.
but it works.
But it actually does, build things better.
Right. And even if there was intentional or not, that's up in the air. People probably claim it's intentional
It
because
is, but it could have been some luck.
Right. And even if it's luck though, it'd still be a great thing to teach somebody, right? And like film school being like, look at what happened. Like not what they did, but look at what happened to happen here and see how it fits. That would be something good to think about and intentionally do
when
on
you're
the movie
doing
you
it
do.
intentionally. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So there's shit like this movie just falls, everything just seems to fall into place in this one in a way, like when it's locked in, it just seems like a smooth little rock. Like a bunch of little rock shards come in and then it's just a smooth little piece of beach glass. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not, it's not remarkable, but it's also smooth in one piece that you're just like, wow, that was a damn good movie there.
We got to keep this one.
That's right. You got to take this on the plane.
Yeah, we're going to take it home and put it on some shelf and forget about it.
And then plan on selling the house and moving so we can lose it in the move.
And then you'll find it later and be like, hey, that was a nice piece of sea glass. It all makes sense.
People
actually.
are still
This checks
talking
out.
about it in 100 and, or 80 years or whatever it's been.
Wow. That's a long time, huh?
They put a soft filter on her face for a lot of the shots.
That I could see.
Yeah.
That I could see. Yeah. Look good.
It did look good.
To tell you the truth.
One of the most misquoted quotes of all time alongside Star Wars is, Luke, I am your father.
Mm-hmm.
That is, no, I am your father. And for this movie, it's play it again, Sam. He never says that.
No, she doesn't?
True.
It's the again. I guess she says play it, Sam.
Yeah. Right.
But it's been like in comedies. There's been a couple parodies of this movie and it's in those parodies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one of the weird collective false memory things that happen sometimes where people just misremember together. Even like, I don't know. It happens sometimes. There's like a phenomenon. I forget what the name of it is. But John, you look that up, John. Why don't you go ahead and look it up?
I don't want to look it up.
Everyone forgets the exact same thing. Composers back then didn't get to start before they saw a final cut of the movie. So the composer, who is a very famous guy, I'm going to look up his name because we've seen him a lot too, or heard him, I guess. Max Steiner was his name. He did King Kong, was his first big movie, and that movie apparently set the stage for what movie scores should be and how they should enhance the action, enhance the emotion, that sort of thing. I guess he started the whole overuse of music in Hollywood for a time, but he's credited with that. And he also did Gone with the Wind. That was supposed to be his either Casablanca or Gone with the Wind were his masterpieces. But this guy also in the machine, just churning it out, just really cranking away scores. Hated the song that was in this movie. What is this song called? The one that she wants him to play again.
Oh, really? The As Time Goes By?
As Time Goes By. And that song wasn't popular back then. It was just a song. And he hated it. Max Steiner hated it. Got the movie with the final cut. Saw that it was a very important part of the movie. Tried to get the movie rewritten and reshot for those scenes because he hated it so much. But
Nice.
Bergman had already cut her hair for another movie. So the studio was like, sorry, dude. We can't reshoot the scene. She's got a different haircut. Sorry, you got to do it.
Wow.
So
what song did he want instead?
He wanted to write his own music.
Oh, he wanted it to be his own song.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So he leaned into it angrily and ended up, as you guys heard, like they took that As Time Goes By song, not only played it when Sam was playing it in the club, but also like it was a part of the theme a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
So he brought it in there.
He put it in an angry way.
Yeah, very angry.
Fucking time goes by.
I hate this goddamn song. And because of his score with that song became more popular and is still extremely popular to this day because of this movie.
That guy's rolling around in his grave.
Every time.
Probably start throwing shit anytime it came on the radio.
Because everyone knows that song, right? I knew that song.
Yeah.
I didn't know that song.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I did. I don't know where I...
Sounds like something I would like, so.
The one that he played? You didn't recognize it?
Not sure I had recognized it from anything, no.
No.
But I liked it.
Yep.
So.
Nice.
Fuck you, Max.
Here's Looking at You, Kid. It was likely improv.
Was it really?
Likely. So
then they just did it. They saw it once and were like, do it 2 more times.
Do it a lot more times. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the script, and this was kind of Ebert guessing that he improv because there was some character improv going on. So basically, he was like he's reading the script. He's like memorized the script, and he's pointing out.
Well, I know he said it a lot, but it sort of it just emphasizes how he says it. He said it one time when again they're having they're both like really into each other and having like the best time ever, and so for him it's like this callback to that time, and it makes sense that way. It's not just like, oh, this is my catchphrase. It's like this was like. This is back to the highlight of where they were as a couple.
I 100% agree, but they could have done it 3 times overall instead of 5.
You're right.
Or like
you
twice.
still didn't need 5. You're right.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, you got to do it twice.
Still.
Do 2 in the past and then 1 at the end for the real.
That's what I mean.
Twice.
Twice is all they need.
Well, all you need is
3
like
times,
one in the past, maybe two in the present.
No,
more than 3.
No, just 1 in the past. Definitely 1 in the present.
One in the past, one in the past. Too many fucking things.
All right, guys, we're yelling at each other. We can agree not 5 times, right?
Not 5 times.
Not 5 times.
Not 5 times.
Not 5 not even 4 times. Yeah, not even 4. Yeah,
we're going to.
We're
going to.
Yeah, the worst part of the movie.
I'd be all right.
Worst part of the movie too many times and saying, "Here's looking at you, kid." It's
it is looking at you, kid.
That actually kind of threw me off. This movie was like pretty damn perfect, but those I'm like, yeah, it's too many times, guys. Too many times.
Yeah.
Well, that just feels like
we get it.
Yeah, it feels a little cheap that time. Like a little too in your face there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of what do you want to call it? Hullabaloo.
Ooh,
about whether or not Ingrid Bergman knew she was getting on the plane with Bogart or Victor, not Bogart. There was, there's people like to just like, I don't know, talk about movies in weird, indeterminate ways, but there is, I guess, I don't know. Ebert said that she knew in the scene where they were talking in her like room that during that there was studio notes that said that she knew that she was going to be going with Victor. So like, if you trust Ebert, why wouldn't you, I guess, except for the fact that he thinks Citizen Kane's the best movie ever made. But beyond that,
fucking guy.
Right?
Yeah.
She did know. So there wasn't all this like secrecy. But if you watch this hour-long documentary with freaking the guy who directed The Exorcist, what's his name? And you got Steven Spielberg on there. You got all these famous people talking about the history of the movie. Everyone's caught up in this rumor that nobody on set knew how the movie was going to end. So even when they were acting out the scenes, they just didn't know who she was going to end up with. So it was this big like, what's it going to be?
That sounds a little too Hollywood convenient.
It sounds like maybe they didn't know, but they also didn't fucking care.
They did. I mean, they did care.
They definitely cared. It was a fucking movie that no one was going to watch.
Nobody read the end of the script yet because they all were just like doing it as they got it.
Don't worry. I didn't even get to have fucking page 5. Let's just shoot. Come on.
That's right. What I get on the plane, I got to go. Let's just end it. Let's wrap this up.
What was my motivation again?
I've got 3 other films to make this month.
Do I have to deliver the lines in an accent, or can I just do it my normal?
Normal, great.
Okay,
cool. I can't do an accent, so that's a good answer.
Yeah.
So they didn't film this at a real airport in Casablanca, believe it or not. They did it in the studio, and that airplane in the background was a cardboard cutout with a lot of smoke and dark lighting, and they had little people in the planes to make the scale look better because it was such a small cardboard cutout.
It looked great.
It looked really good. Very strange.
Yeah, it did look good.
So the producer of the movie, Hal Wells, the movie was like Final Cut, all this stuff. The line, whatever the guy's name is, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. That line at the very end wasn't in there. And the producer was watching. He's like, hey, it needs like one more thing. We just need like one more thing here. So the producer wrote that line, got Bogart to overdub it, and they added the dub into the ends.
Oh, that's nice.
How about that?
Classic line. Good job, producer. You did a good job.
I mean, those are those kind of moments where it just speaks to you, man.
Yeah. But it's crazy because people were just throwing this shit together. There's no indication that anyone had a thought about this movie being
Well, I hate to break
classic.
it to you, Denny, but they're still doing that. And they're still taking credit as if they knew the whole time.
All those movies suck now.
I'm just saying that's that's an age-old Hollywood thing.
Some people
also
working very, very, very hard to produce crap.
Yeah, it's really sad, too.
They actually are. Yeah.
William Friedkin, that's his name, Exorcist guy. So that was one commentary. That was with Ebert. That one's the one. If you like commentary, start with the Ebert one. The other guy is Rudy Belmer, who is a movie historian. Ooh. Ooh, it's fucking Halloween time, guys.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that guy went to fucking film school and never left, basically?
But that's what you wanted to be when you grew up.
It was terrible, as usual.
Was it?
It was bad. I watched like half of it and shut it off because I have 4 pieces of trivia here. I'm going to list all of them from the half of movie worth of commentary, and then I just shut it off. Because all he was doing the thing where he would just like, this is this actor, and they were in previous movies such as this and this and this and this, and the cinematographer from that movie worked on this and this and this. Naomi we were like eating food, and she was like, "What is this guy? IMDb? Like, why are we watching this? This is terrible."
Why is this? Yeah, exactly. What's he doing?
So for half this movie commentary track, the tidbits I got that were like juicy enough to write down, Warner Brothers bought the script for $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's cheap. Is that cheap?
That's cheap.
I mean, it's back in the 40s, though. Who the fuck knows? He didn't say if it was cheap or not. He just said $20,000.
What are our script prices? I'm going to look it up.
Can you actually just Google that? Is that info that Google has?
I'm sure.
All right. As TC looks that up, the director, he started directing in Hungary, his native country, in 1913.
Oh.
That's pretty, back when movies were not really a popular thing. So, sweet. Never heard the last name Curtiz. I assume you guys are in the same boat.
Right.
No.
This guy was extremely prolific and he's directed like this one. This movie is one of the greatest American movies ever made. Some people say it's the best movie ever made. It'd be hard to argue with that because it's so damn old.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's about right. So it's about right. There were some others back then that were selling for around 16, 17. So it's
like slightly higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Higher, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad, but average. So that's not even trivia.
Yeah,
it's sold for an average
It was
amount.
average.
Great.
It's sold for an average
Thanks,
amount,
Rudy. Goddamn idiot.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only 3 because the last note I had was just listing off other movies people did. So I have 3 pieces of trivia. The other one,
Back then, again, before you could look it all up real easy, maybe that was kind of nice to know.
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
True.
But
Guess
the
you're
third
right.
piece of trivia is that Curtiz didn't take a lunch because it slowed him down. It like made him, he had like the lunch hangovers or whatever. So he didn't eat it. But
the itis.
The itis.
Yeah.
The actors had to eat, obviously.
Yeah.
But
right.
anyone who ate lunch, he would call them a lunch bum.
Wow. Back in the day.
Yeah.
A lunch bum. I like that. I want to find an excuse.
You guys are slaves to food, you idiots.
Go get your lunch, you lunch bum.
So hey, I looked it up again and found some other info. The average screenplay sold for around $30,000, so a little bit lower than average. Yeah.
So that's something.
So that's something. It's not nothing.
All right. And then there was a making of movie. It was called An Unlikely Classic, and it had a bunch of famous directors, the most being William Friedkin and Steven Spielberg. And I'm just going to list off some of the good stuff here, as I don't know why I said that because that's all I ever do. Warner Brothers Studio had 50 movies going the time this movie was in production. That's the kind of machine they were running. They had behind the scenes shots of people on lunch break and like people walking out of the studios and all the crazy shit they were wearing. They were like, people in like snow gear. There were people with like no shirts on and like tribal masks and all this shit and, spacemen and cowboys and Indians, just all these people walking down the studio lot to go get food because they were filming 50 movies at once. Complete insanity. Can you imagine?
That's a lot. Yeah,
sounds pretty damn awesome. The script was called Everybody Comes to Rick's.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's all in the fucking.
Yeah.
That's a good change.
It's a great change.
I have to say.
The producer, so they were singing the praises of one of the producers. They give the director a lot of credit too, but on Ebert's commentary and in this making of, one of the producers, and I forget his name, he's probably the main producer if you want to look it up, was credited for most things because he was there every day doing the set design, costume design, kind of influencing the director on how the character should act. He was it sounded like he was a director in a sense. So producers did a lot differently back then. They were more involved, sounds like.
Yeah.
The producer throwing in a line at the end, right? That doesn't
which could that could happen.
But they're not writers these days, right? They don't fancy.
No,
they'd hire a writer probably.
No, a lot of them are writers that are now producers, or because I think a lot of people end up working in the industry some other way first.
But if you're
they
just a
producer,
producer,
up to,
right?
If you're just a producer, I mean, yeah, but I feel like
if you're Jim from The Office and you're like a writer, actor, producer, like maybe you can write a line.
I think that's a lot of the producers now, though.
Oh, really?
That's a lot of the. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean,
wait, you make money how? Because you invest and then you make the money.
The Barbie people were just like, working on set for a while.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people play many hats, wear many hats for their jobs.
Yeah.
And, producers that you're thinking of, like the money guys, maybe not so much, but they're usually like financiers and not so much producers. They're like, people just putting up money. So there's a lot of different variables for who pays for what and who wants a line in there and who doesn't.
Right. You can get people that are invested in the artistic merit of something beyond making money, being involved in the money spending. That's great. If that's the way we're going, sure.
Right. I think most people just want their fucking ROI and for you to fuck off. Yeah.
Like the stock market, just a little more polar in terms of being rich or going broke.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll win the lottery one day and then we can be our own financiers, Because that's all it is.
Hey,
like,
are you guys playing the Powerball? We're up to 750 billion right now.
When you think about it, like that's kind of the cool thing about Hollywood is like all you need is the money. So if like you find someone that's got the money, it's do
whatever you want.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, like.
So the press release said that Ronald Reagan was going to be the lead in this movie.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And so people talk about, there's a lot of misinformation with how people remember things. People talk about how Ronald Reagan was, lined up, but then got, Bogart got recast. But what actually happens, apparently, again, this is just me repeating people who know all of the things. When people put press releases out, or when people started the flow of a movie in the machine, when they tossed the script into the machine of the movie making thing, they put out a press release and they would just kind of randomly put actors and actresses in on like who's going to be in it. So they had Ronald Reagan on Warner Brothers payroll. So he was one of their actors. So they're like, yeah, we can just throw him on there. Like, we'll change him later. Most movies change the actors from the press release.
Oh, wow.
So it was just like a placeholder. So Ronald Reagan was never actually considered for this movie. He was never talked to about this movie. He's never screen tested, anything. They had Bogart in mind and a couple of other actors. But yeah, if you are into trivia and you hear that, it's a lie. So Reagan was never attached to this movie. They just put his name on paper.
Be in the movie, and that's just that.
And that seems like a dumb piece of trivia, but it is surprising with all these special features how many people mention that he was in serious consideration. Because like these things are still just like floating around. It's like, guys, it's been 80 years. Figure this shit out. Get rid of the wrong information. What are you doing?
Right.
People love it though, right? It's
a story that they loved it. Yeah, it's a great story. They don't want to let go of it.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. It's Hollywood. It's all about the story.
Mm-hmm. So the last piece of trivia I have is this movie not only had good luck with the timing of the script screener reading it right after the Pearl Harbor thing, but also when this movie came out in 1942, all the world leaders on the non-German side of the war met in Casablanca just randomly. So Casablanca was in the headlines within 3 months of when this movie came out. So that was like a huge thing where like people didn't even know where it was. They never heard of it before. But then all of a sudden this huge conference with like Churchill and, all these world leaders were there and it was like headlines. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm so happy you liked it, TC. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I really was worried.
Yeah, I was
like, this movie is so good. If TC doesn't like it, I'm going to have a bad Friday. And I really don't want that right now.
Yeah, right. There's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
No. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes when you're like, there's no way you couldn't like this. And then someone comes in and explains to you why they didn't like it. Your brain just is like, no.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Tim Jackson, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
There he goes.
Tim, he listens and he's been waiting for you to say that.
Somewhere in a nursing home.
Yeah. No. Tim's probably still alive and well.
He's kicking it. He's still teaching Casablanca, do you think?
Yeah. He was a drummer back in the day.
Of course he was. And he didn't make it. So then he taught high school kids about Casablanca.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, man, can you imagine watching a movie
he did
1,000
make it.
times?
I think he did make it, actually.
Oh, did he? Way to go, Tim. Good job, Tim.
Yeah.
All your Casablanca watching really paid off in the end.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Wait. Top 250 seems like an easy answer.
Yeah.
Yes. Easy. Yes. Best old movie we've seen?
Up there. I'd have to like go and think about all the other ones that we've seen.
I don't think this movie has aged. Honestly,
like, no, I think people are still trying to make movies with this in mind.
Yeah, like what counts as old? Like because there's some ones that were
pre-60s. I would say pre-60s.
Okay, there's 60s, 70s that are fantastic. Right. So I don't know.
As soon as you get to like 2001: Space Odyssey, like that's the 60s. That's when movies were like, all right, we're modern. Everything is modern,
and you're fine. Yeah, then no one has an excuse anymore.
Right.
But yeah,
this is 1942. It's insane how old this movie is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How old was what was the one where it was like the 3 intersecting stories that was pretty good? It wasn't as good as this, but it was still pretty good.
Was that World War II one? Best years of our lives?
Yes,
wasn't that the 30s?
That was good. Was that 30s? Because we all enjoyed
1946. That was 4 years after this movie.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And that was good, but there was still like the pans where like people would stand there after a scene was done and they wouldn't be doing anything.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this is probably one of the better ones I've seen.
Yeah. Ever seen. Yeah, you said it.
Ever
you
seen
said it.
Right.
Yeah. It's going to be a hard sell though, because I feel like I didn't watch it again for a long period of time. John never watched it and TC never watched it because it's so old that it's black and white.
Well, it's a cliche, but also it's like, oh, it's the greatest romance ever. All right, never mind.
I don't like romance movies.
Definitely don't want to watch it.
Then after watching this, you're like, I like romance movies. This is a really good one.
All of a sudden, I'm feeling romantic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, guess what? We're going into October. It's super spooky Halloween time, and I've freaking catered a list for you guys. And there's some options.
What's on the menu, Denny?
So I'm gonna be vague, just to kind of give you my reasoning. So there's 4 different kinds of horror movies we got here. We got a classic horror movie, we got an art house horror movie, we got a scary modern horror movie, and then we got a comedy horror movie.
Ooh.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that we might want to split the classic and the scary separate, since the classic is kind of scary too. And we might want to end with a comedy, because the next list movie is American History X.
Oh boy.
Which is kind of a horror movie in itself.
Which is a tough one. Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So I just kind of said classic, art house, scary, comedy is the order that I'm planning. Does that sound good to you guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the classic.
You're the master.
What's the classic?
What's the classic?
We're going to do, I forgot his name during the podcast, William Friedkin, The Exorcist.
Oh, we're going old school.
Which is currently...
Is that because we're going to go watch the new one after?
Yeah, we're going to see the third one, or whatever number it is.
4th one,
I've seen the trailer 4 times at this point for some reason. I didn't mean to watch it anytime I watched it. This movie is currently on the top 250. It's 227. So whatever's going on, probably because of the sequel, they're probably pumping it for points for the sequel.
That's true. Maybe so. You're right. Yeah.
But it just a week ago released on 4K. Blu-ray as well, which is, a good excuse for me.
That makes you excited.
There's new commentaries. There's all sorts of special features.
Oh my God. All right. Fine.
Yeah. Have you guys seen this one?
We're doing The Exorcist.
Oh yeah. A long time ago.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. We're starting with the classic.
All right.
I'm excited.
Cool.
All right.
Happy fucking October.
Happy Halloween, guys.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Wear costumes.
All right.